What is going on, everybody? WeedleTwineedle here, and I'm finally back with some more narrated Sword and Shield battling content. So if you guys do enjoy the narrated Wi-Fi battle content and want to support the channel and what I do here on YouTube, besides Showdown content, pretty much the only content I do that isn't Showdown content, make sure to leave a like on the video, watch until the end of the video, even if you don't actually watch and you just let it play all the way through. That really helps me out as well. And if you really enjoy the content and want to show additional support, consider leaving a super thanks in the comment. It's a new thing YouTube added where you can show additional support to your favorite creators. I would appreciate it, but you know, it's of course not necessary. And make sure to join my Discord server as well. Follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. I'm trying to reach 20,000 followers on Twitter, and I also want my Discord server to not be dead, so make sure to follow all that stuff. So we are playing Series 13, and I do want to showcase pretty much all the mythicals in VGC, because this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You can use as many mythicals and restricteds as you want in this format. The only thing that really restricts you is like item clause, species clause, and like no transfer moves. So beyond that, it's pretty much fair game, which is really scary to think about. So I'm using Mew and Melmetal as the first Pokemon because I want to do this in chronological order, and Melmetal is basically a mythical from Gen 1 if you think about like how it is in the Pokedex. And if you guys want to see Meltan, I won't be covering it on my channel. I probably could pull it off, but there's a lot of other people who have done it already, and I do recommend you check out Moxie Boosted's video. And if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the card thing in the corner, which I think is a YouTube thing that exists. Yeah. Anyway, let's go over my team real quick. I am rambling, I'm sorry about that. Now, as you can see by my team, I am packing Mew and Melmetal because they are the mythicals I want to showcase in VGC. I do have a really cute strategy. I am using Imprison Transform Mew because Mew can run so many different movesets. Imprison Transform is like the only thing that Mew itself can do, so I wanted to do that in VGC. But question of the day, before we continue, what is your favorite Mew moveset? I know this is kind of random. And a second question of the day, if you play Pokemon Unite, what are your thoughts on Mew getting in Pokemon Unite? I do think Mew is really, really OP, very, very fun, super duper fun. I do think they are a little bit too strong and might need a nerf, but overall they are super fun, just to keep it, you know, bare bones and simple. Now, we have Gmax Melmetal, of course, Gmax Centiskorch as well, because Dynamax is a pretty toxic mechanic, I do understand. But before Scarlet and Violet, I want to showcase and just make use of Dynamax before it's gone forever. I mean, good riddance, no one really likes Dynamax, but Dynamax does enable for some pretty fun strategies if you use it with morals, but most people just Dynamax really broken stuff, which is understandable. Anyway, we also have Gastrodon. Gastrodon is a world champion. I'm pretty proud of this Gastrodon because it is an event Gastrodon, but I used a bunch of berries to reset the EVs that it was given, and now it has a new unique EV spread that is really nice and catered for my team. And then we have our restricted Pokemon, and you can actually use unlimited restricteds in this format. We have Yveltal and calyrex-ice. Pretty scary restricteds, but there is a pretty cute gimmick about them. And as you can see by my first opponent's team, they are also having a lot of fun. They're packing Magearna, the first Pokemon that came into everyone's head when we thought of Series 13 with Mythicals. They also have Palkia and Didi female, male Incineroar, base as hell. They also carry Yveltal, and then they have a Necrozma Duskmane, which is pretty cool to see. So that is their team, and without further ado, let's get right into this battle. Alright, so we're up against Gloria, who has a pretty cute training card. She has the same stance as I do, which is pretty iconic, I can't lie. And I haven't changed my trainer card in years, but I did change the background to the Isle of Armor, so we have a nice background that doesn't have the annoying crowd cheering, which is really nice. And that's why I changed my background to the Isle of Armor. But overall, I think that was a good decision. They did off with their Palkia and their Indeedee. I did off my Mew and my Centiskorch. So turn 1, they're going to set up the Psychic Terrain, of course. And this Mew moveset, you all are not going to believe me when I say this, but I made this Mew moveset before I saw what moves Mew got in Pokemon Unite. So basically, like, you're going to see what I mean for y'all who play Pokemon Unite. So they're going to go for Follow Me turn 1, and I'm going to go for Coaching. So Mew does get Coaching in Pokemon Unite. It is such a random move that they gave to Mew in Pokemon Unite. They gave a Coaching of all moves. I didn't think about that when I made this, but I go for Coaching and Leech Life right into the Indeedee, and that's going to a one-shot the Indeedee. And that's a really good feeling. Down goes Indeedee, as my opponent is going to get up the Trick Room, which Indeedee does enable very well. And this is pretty bad for me, considering that sorry, I got to mix up. Palkia can go for, you know, water moves. My opponent's going to send in their Magearna right here, and I'm going to switch out my Mew right here and bring in my Gastrodon, the battle champion, because I do have Storm Drain. I can absorb the Palkia's water move. I'm going to Dynamax my Centiskorch right here. I'm going to skip any unnecessary Dynamax animations because This video is already long enough. The Dynamax animations would make it even longer, so I'm doing y'all a favor. Gonna go for the Sun Inferno into the Magearna at +1. It does do a very good chunk of damage, and we're going to set up the Fire Spin onto both my opponent's Pokemon. They're going to go for a Steel Spike into my Gastrodon slot, as we're able to take it really well because even though Magearna is broken, Gastrodon is very tanky. It is kind of carried by its ability, but Gastrodon has pretty decent stats. It can basically always tank one hit. Anyway, we're going to redirect the Hydro Pump with our Storm Drain ability, get a special attack boost on our Gastrodon, which is pretty nice. We're able to protect our Centiskorch, and Centiskorch is kind of eating this Magearna up like 1v1, which is unfortunate for my opponent. I thought they were going to Dynamax their Palkia there and not Magearna, to be honest, but I get it. It is Series 13, you want Dynamax and have fun with your Mythicals. But unfortunately for my opponent, they realize the battle's over and they just kind of forfeit, so that's kind of sad for them. I mean, it was kind of over. Centiskorch, Dynamax is like a kind of really fast-paced sort of mechanic, so I totally understand forfeiting. And here my opponent lets me see their team, and as you can see, outside of Leftovers Magearna, which I'm kind of surprised they're running, their items seem to be rather standard, or movesets rather. I like that. I like when people let you see their team, unless you're like going to a regional or something. I don't see why you hide your team. Like, you're not that cute, like, come on, you're not that girl. But yeah, that's their team in case y'all were curious and wanted to glance. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that battle. Let's move on to the next battle. My next opponent today has a very scary team. They have Calyrex Shadow Rider, Necrozma Duskmane, Zacian, Kyogre, Indeedee, and Mew. So they also have a Mew, which is pretty funny. So we have a Mew mirror match. Nice alliteration right there. But yeah, let's get into this battle against I can't read that, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I barely speak English, so, and English is my first language, by the way, so that's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. We roll with it. My opponent's going to lead off with the Zacian and Mew, as I decide to lead off with, you guessed it, Centiskorch and Mew as well. So we both lead off with our Mews, which is pretty cute, and they're going to get their Balanced Intrepid Sword, but thankfully Centiskorch does fare pretty well against Zacian. I'm going to go for Protect turn 1 to bait out, just to see what Mew wants to go for. Mew goes for Icy Wind and outspeeds Zacian. So that means one thing, that means that's Choice Scarf Mew. That's Choice Scarf Mew. I'm like, whoa, that is a pretty interesting set right there, but, you know, I respect the tech. Mew can run any moveset in the game, so you really just got to be prepared for anything. And, you know, Scarf Icy Wind wasn't really the best move in that situation because Zacian already outsped everybody anyway. But unfortunately, my Mew is not allowed to play the game. And even though this is the Mew video, unfortunately, my opponent said, you are not allowed to play the game. So I got knocked out by the Zacian, and now I'm going to bring in my Yveltal. I Dynamax my Centiskorch and go for Protect with my Yveltal to just bait out some attacks, as my opponent is locked into Icy Wind. And they could switch out right here, or they could switch out. They had their chance, but now my Centiskorch is in. And Gmax Centiskorch, they go for Play Rough, but we're able to protect ourselves. Gmax Centiskorch traps you in with its signature move. Excuse me. Yeah, Gmax Centiskorch, Inferno, one-shot Zacian, which is just an absolutely wonderful feeling. Down goes the Zacian to my giant ass centipede, and Gmax Inferno traps in the Mew, which is locked into Icy Wind. And I'm like, oh, you made it so my Mew couldn't play the game? Two can play that game. So that's what I was thinking. My opponent is going to decide to Dynamax their fucking Calyrex, and I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that at all. But you know what? That's fine. I could take whatever, a Max Phantasm, whatever. They have Max Starfall, excuse me, off Draining Kiss, and it almost kills me. But my Yveltal is super duper bulky. I have not even one attack EV or special attack EV. This is like a fully defense invested or especially defensive. It's like a mixed EV Yveltal. But yeah, I go for Disable into Mew, and Mew is Choice Scarf, right? So it is now disabled, which means it's going to start to struggle to death, which is pretty funny because my Mew set on this team is meant to Imprison Transform and make you struggle that way. But and then you have Gmax Inferno to trap you in, so you're forced to struggle, right? That's the cute synergy that this core has. But unfortunately, the Calyrex using the Max Starfall was very bad for me, but it's okay. I got the disable off, and the Mew is still trapped, so now it is forced to go for the struggle. I go for Protect once again just to stall out my opponent's Dynamax, as they're gonna, you know, struggle, but unfortunately they're going to hit my Protect because I guess struggle. I mean, it is a spread attack, so it just targeted into my Yveltal, unfortunately. Anyway, they go for the Phantasm. I wasn't expecting that. Maybe they read my Protect, which is totally fair. They go for Phantasm and lower my defense, and I just go for Inferno once again into the Calyrex. and do a decent chunk of damage. Not quite enough to knock it out, but you know, we'll take any damage we can get. And now my Yveltal is pretty close to dying, and I don't want to give my opponent a free Grimnay boost because Calyrex Shadow Rider is fair and balanced, and Yveltal is like my only counterplay to it, and they have the tech to beat Yveltal, which is Max Starfall, and Draining Kiss, which is like, why? But you know what? It makes sense. You gotta adapt to the meta. So my opponent here is going to struggle into my Yveltal, and we're going to take it reasonably well. They actually crit me with struggle, which is like, okay, of course they do. And they're going to go for Starfall and knock out my poor Yveltal, which is totally fine with me because that means my Centiskorch is alive, and Centiskorch is a fucking Chad Pokemon, so down goes my Yveltal, which is totally fine. I can just, you know, my opponent's going to get a Grimnay boost, which is very scary, but now I'm going to go for the Leech Life into the Calyrex. It's going to just barely live, unfortunately, so it's going to be able to get another attack with that Grimnay boost, except we have the Sentinferno, which is going to chip down the Mew and the Calyrex and just barely knock it out. So down goes Calyrex Shadow Rider. That is just, Centiskorch is amazing. I don't know what else to say. And now I'm going to bring in my Gastrodon right here, which, as you saw, is a pretty interesting moveset. But yeah, my opponent's going to send in their, not Calyrex, what's this thing called? Necrozma. They're going to send in Necrozma, I send in my Gastrodon, and I'm thinking that there's no way I can lose this game at this point. They're locked into struggle right now, and I can just ignore their Mew as it just takes itself out with struggle, which is really funny. And I assume this Necrozma is weakness policy because, I mean, I'm a weakness policy connoisseur. I invented weakness policy low-key. Psychic Bangs almost one-shots me because of a crit. I'm like, okay, chill. I go for a Leech Life trying to do some chip damage, but it does absolutely nothing because this Pokemon is really, really bulky. And now I'm like, wait, I could lose. This is scary, but I do have the Yawn on Gastrodon. It comes in clutch. Gastrodon won the World Championships recently. It is such a good Pokemon. It is really annoying. I actually really like Gastrodon, though. It's a cute Pokemon. Here, I'm just going to go for Protect, and I think, yeah, just go for Earth Power into the Necrozma. Even though Whirlpool was a better play because I do have the Binding Band, I wouldn't activate weakness policy. So in hindsight, my play was to go for Whirlpool. But you know what? I go for the Earth Power because I just love weakness policy so much. I just got to give it to my opponent. Here, I do get a Revenge crit, which is nice because they did crit me with Psychic Fangs, so I crit them back with the Earth Power. But here, they're going to get their weakness policy. But at the very least, they are now going to go right to sleep, except I miscounted the Misty Terrain, so I choked, and now I'm going to lose to this Necrozma, so that's really scary. I decided to just go for Yawn and Fire Lash again because worst case scenario, they kill Centiskorch, I get the Yawn off, and I just go for Protect, and unless they carry Morning Sun or something, it should just be a W from there, because now the terrain is gone. So thankfully, we didn't choke the game away. We almost did. I thought I counted the Misty Terrain turns correctly, but I did not, because when I play VGC, I'm usually multitasking, and multitasking, especially when you're playing doubles, is a really bad idea, because there's a lot going on, you don't have much time, and, you know, shit happens. So here I'm going to go for Protect with my Gastrodon. They're going to go for Psychic Fangs, and we're going to guard it with our Protect, and now they're going to go right to sleep, and now Gastrodon can clutch this game out with the Whirlpool, because, you know, it's a fun move. Whirlpool with Yawn, with the Imprison Transform Mew, you can see where this synergy comes in with this team. It's very gimmicky and kind of grimy, but I wanted to build this sort of team because I figure it's a nice change of pace for what I normally do on the channel, which is like usually hyper offense, sweep, 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 sweep. So, and skill swap, skill swap, skill swap. But yeah, my opponent lets me see their team because they're a Chad. They have Draining Kiss, Calyrex with Giga Drain. Okay, interesting. Necrozma with weakness policy. And then they have Zacian, very standard. No Protect on anything. They have no fear. Salva's Kyogre, you know, Mystical Fire and DD for the weakness policy Necrozma. That's actually pretty smart. And then they have Transform, Scarf, Snarl, Icy Wind, Expanding Force, New. So you know what? Their team tech is iconic. I love their team. So rate their team in the comments, 1 out of 10. I rate it 7 or 8. I'll rate it 7.5. But yeah, that is their team. Let's move on to the next battle. Okay, my next opponent, Joseph, has a very interesting team. They're packing Magearna and Victini, of course, the mythicals. I mean, I do like Victini, but Magearna is just really broken. They also have Zacian because one broken Steel Fairy type wasn't enough. They have 2, and then they have Kyogre to, you know, block out the fire damage, and then Yveltal, which is really good with Kyogre. So a very scary looking team. Without further ado, let's get into this battle. against Joseph, who has a very sleeping, like, it looks like they're about to fall asleep in their trainer card, and I totally see that because they have a Moongus on their team, and their team makes you want to go to sleep. So they're going to lead off with Victini and the Magearna. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't born yesterday. I know you're going to Final Gambit, and I'm going to condition you to expect Sucker Punch, and you're going to be too scared to go for it. And they do switch out their Victini turn 1. They bring out their Zacian. So I condition them beautifully. Like, that was actually, like, amazing conditioning on my part. I'm pretty proud of that, not gonna lie. So they're gonna bring in Zacian, get the, you know, Interpret Sword. I actually hard switch out my Yveltal turn 1, knowing they're probably gonna either protect or switch out. I bring in my Centiskorch right in, and here I'm going to go for a coaching with my Mew. So gonna get a nice attack defense boost with Centiskorch in on the field against 2 Steel Fairy types. Honestly, I couldn't ask for a better situation. My opponent's gonna set up a Trick Room for me as well. I'm like, wow, you're so sweet, Magearna. I love you so much. Here, we both decided Dynamax. On the Dynamax Magearna, I Dynamax Centiskorch. We're going to skip that, you know, 1-minute animation for y'all. I'm going to go for the G-Max Centinferno right into the Zacian as they go for Protect, which is a good play on their part. It, you know, stalls out a turn Dynamax. They could switch out the turn after, except, unfortunately for them, G-Max Centinferno sets up Fire Spin, which traps you in, so you can't switch out. So, that sucks for them. They're going to go for a Steel Spike into my Mew, do about half of my health because, you know, Magearna, it doesn't do too much damage without any Soul Heart boosts, but the fact they can get Soul Heart boosts off of a, you know, ally or enemy fainting is kind of insane. Here I go for the Surf with my Mew. That's right, I have Surf and Coaching. When I made this team, I didn't look at Mew's moves in Pokemon Unite. I promise you. I pinky swear. You don't have to believe me though, because it's kind of unbelievable. But yes, I gave this Mew Surf and Coaching to synergize with Centiskorch, and then ends up having those moves in Pokemon Unite. Like, what are the odds of that? What are the odds? Like, wow. Anyway, I go for G-Max Centinferno into Magearna at +3, and we're going to eviscerate the Magearna, except it lives because Magearna is fair and balanced, and that's +1 defense, and Max Steel Spike will knock out my Mew, except we live at 1 HP. Oh my god, Mew. Okay, Mew kind of, like, flopped in the first 2 battles, but that alone is just, like, God bless Mew. And here I go for the Imprison, and now I please don't go into my Mew, and they go for the Behemoth Blade into my Centiskorch, but because we have +1 defense and we do resist the Behemoth Blade, we do take it really well, surprisingly. So that's good for our Centiskorch. I say really well, like we didn't take 40% from that, but that's just how, that's taking a hit well from Zacian, is like 40%. So Magearna's gonna go down from the Centinferno, which is a really nice. Centiskorch honestly showing that it's pretty underrated. This effect of trapping the Zacian, it could never switch out because it protected against my first attack, but then it was stuck. Because it's such an underrated effect. Like, trapping is really broken if you know how to use it. And in comes Kyogre, and I know I'm going to get water spattered here, so I'm like, well, what now? My opponent's going to protect the Zacian, which is a pretty smart play, but Trick Room is still up, so I can just go for the Max Overgrow right into the Kyogre. It's off Power Whip. I'm at +3. Unless Kyogre is like Rindo Berry, it is dead, and it is going to go down to the Max Overgrow. And Zacian protected expecting another fire type attack or something like that, but I have no reason to do that. When a Kyogre is out on the field, that could just Water Spout and annihilate my Centiskorch. Whereas Zacian is just a little bitch compared to my giant ass Centipede. Now I'm going to transform into Zacian. I could have transformed into my own Centiskorch for dominance, but I did click Imprison, so I wanted to, you know, go for the transform. I think Zacian is their last Pokemon, but even if it's not, they're trapped because of the G-Max Inferno, so they couldn't switch out even if they wanted to, and that is the cool synergy with this combination. And here it's Inferno gonna do some more chip damage. And I do think this is their last Pokemon anyways. I could be wrong. It's been like about a week or 2 since this battle happened. No, yeah, their last is Victini, so it isn't, I think they couldn't switch out anyways, even without Centinferno, because there's only 2 Pokemon left. But yeah, that is the synergy with this team. And here, I'm going to go for Leech Life. Trick Room is still up. My opponent's Trick Room, you know, really carries me. They're super nice for that Trick Room. I love when people autopilot and set up Trick Room for Centiskorch because they just don't know what it does, and like they just assume Trick Room is always good for them. Here, I go for the Wild Charge because they randomly have Wild Charge on their Zacian for some reason, and I Wild Charge to take myself out because I'm using Zacian, so I deserve to go down. So down goes my Mew, which is transformed into Zacian, and the Zacian right here is going to struggle because even after you leave the field, I think it forces them to struggle regardless after you, I mean, for that turn anyway, even if you're not on the field. So that is really funny. I didn't know that, and that's a good mechanic to keep in mind if you're ever using the strategy in doubles. but or just in singles. But yeah, the Center Inferno is gonna take out the freaking Zacian. G-Max Charizard can never, and we're going to defeat my opponent thanks to the Mew Centiskorch combination. Like, it really ate them up, and honestly, I couldn't ask for a better showcasing of Centiskorch and Mew. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that battle, and let's move on to the next battle. Okay, my next opponent's team looks like we fought, I'm getting deja vu. Like, they have Calyrex Shadow Rider, Kyogre, Zacian Yveltal, Whimsicott, and then Victini is their mythical, which is pretty cool. We're seeing some mythicals get usage in this really broken format instead of like mono legendaries or mono ubers. We're seeing at least some mythicals get some usage, so you know that's cool. But yeah, let's just get into this battle. My opponent's trainer card, okay, that's pretty cute. You know, I like it. I like their I like the colors. Yeah, but we should get our background though, I'm pretty sure, because we were on the left. Oh wow, they just had like a random hair switch. They had a wardrobe switch. Ally switch could never. Like, wardrobe switch, when is that move coming out? Anyway, they lead off with Victini and Zacian, and I lead off with my Centiskorch and my Mew. And I'm like, I am afraid of Final Gambit again, and I don't have my Yveltal in the lead this time, so this is kind of scary. I'm just gonna Dynamax turn 1 because I'm scared of Final Gambit, but they go for Thunder Wave instead of Final Gambit. I'm like, okay, Thunder Wave. Keep in mind, they're Scarf Victini because they outsped their Zacian. So they're Scarf, Thunder Wave, Victini. I don't know what it is about mythicals and being Scarf, but you know what? We take a Behemoth Blade. So good job, Mew. You did something. You took a Behemoth Blade. We live with 69 HP. Nice. Gonna go for the coaching into our Centiskorch, get a nice attack and defense boost, as now we can go for the G-Max Centinferno and just annihilate this Zacian in one hit. And we're going to trap in the Victini, which is locked into Thunder Wave. So once again, you're seeing the mileage we're getting out of G-Max Centinferno. So yeah, we're going to burn the Victini because Fire Spin even affects fire types. Unlike G-Max Wildfire, G-Max Charizard can never. Anyway, I'm going to see Yveltal, and my opponent is going to obviously Dynamax right here. I actually sent a Gastrodon because I don't want to lose my Mew this early on to a Sucker Punch or something. So they're going to Dynamax their Victini because they are Scarf into Thunder Wave, so that is why they did that, and they're trapped so they can't switch out. So they panic Dynamax. They're going to use Max Flare and do 0 damage. Set up the Sun for me, actually, which is going to help because G-Max Centiskorch cannot set up Sun because it sets up Centinferno instead of Sun with Max Flare, or because it doesn't have Max Flare. Anyway, we get fully parried because, you know, Thunder Wave works, you know, their set is OP. So, you know, I got fully parried on my D-Max turn because, you know, I'm just super lucky. I go for Protect to stall out the last turn of Dynamax in case it has like random Energy Ball or some shit. And they have Max Knuckle because I think that's off Final Gambit. I could be wrong, but Max Knuckle is going to hit into my Gastrodon. I'm pretty much just trying to stall out their Dynamax, so they're locked into Thunder Wave once again and basically useless. And because they chose to Dynamax this Victini out of like panic, I guess, which is funny. That means the Yveltal didn't Dynamax, and they're going to give me Weakness Policy here as well with Oblivion, which is really kind of them. They're going to activate our Weakness Policy. I gotta say that. I know it's been a while. Anyway, I go for the Centinferno and one-shot Yveltal and one hit, and I believe there's only one turn of max left, and Victini is still trapped, and this Fire Spin effect is so OP, and Binding Band slash Grip Claw actually affects G-Max Centinferno. And even when you leave the field, the effect persists. So you can actually trap something without being on the field. And I believe Centiskorch and I think Sandaconda might have that effect as well, are the only max Pokemon that have that effect on their G-Max moves. They could trap stuff without being on the field. Anyway, go for Double Protect right here because I'm a pussy and I gotta stop their last turn Dynamax. And I could have gotten fully parried there, but either way, I was gonna be useless, so I figured might as well go for Protect. And they're gonna go for Max Flare one last time. D-Max Victini looks pretty cute, but it actually gets a weaker fire move when it Dynamaxes because V-Create maxes out at 150 when you max, but Victini's V-Create is 170 BP. So it's actually stronger outside of max. Unless you set up Max Flare, then, you know, the Max Flare is stronger. But anyway, Thunder Wave is going to fail because they're locked into it, and they're going to go for Astral Barrage with their Calyrex, and I should be able to live with my Gastrodon. Unfortunately, Centiskorch is going to go down, but that's to be expected because I was at super low HP. Unfortunately, I got paired one of those turns, so I couldn't really like take full advantage of my max, but you know, that's what happens sometimes. I'm going to go for Yawn into the Calyrex because this is my only way to really shut it down. And Victini's freed from Fire Spin, but I think that these are their last two Pokemon, so I'm feeling pretty good. I have a full HP, leftovers Yveltal. I have a 69 HP Mew. Like, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm going to bring in my Yveltal, and I know there's Scarf locked in the Thunder Wave. So I'm like, oh, it would be unfortunate if I had disable Yveltal. I mean, I could just go for, you know, dark moves and win that way, right? But there's no fun in that. So here I'm going to protect with my Gastrodon. And I know Calyrex likely can't touch me. They're going to hit me with a Thunder Wave, of course, and the fully Paras. I hate full Paras so much. Such an annoying status condition, but it is what it is. Stash Shot going to hit Gastrodon. And I'm going to go for a disable into Victini, and that Scar Victini is now going to start struggling, and then the Calyrex going to go to sleep. This team is honestly kind of evil. It's not really a team I'm very proud of. I did want to build a team like this though, because if I'm using Imprison Transform Mew, I might as well go all the way and just try to, you know, make the synergy and just try to make the opponent struggle. That's basically like what this team is. But yeah, the Victini is going to go for struggle because they are locked in to Thunder Wave, and I disabled it, so now they're forced to struggle. I don't know why the mythicals are all Scarf, but you know what, we got to showcase disable making you struggle without using Encore. And I actually have Encore on my Calyrex-Ice Rider, and I'm supposed to use that under Trick Room to like be annoying, but anyway, I go for Whirlpool into Calyrex just to knock it out because yeah, screw Calyrex. And then Victini is just gonna slowly take itself out with struggle because I'm evil. I am so evil for that, but you know what? The Scarf Thunder Wave is cursed as hell, and they deserve to suffer for that. JK, I kind of like the tech, but I actually switched out for some reason. I switched into Mew, and why am I doing this? Why can't I just finish off the opponent? Why do I have to be like this? I'm so petty, because like when I get fully paired just once, then I'm like, oh, let me just toy with the opponent. What's wrong with me? No wonder why people hate me. Like, what's wrong with WeedleTwineedle? Can we cancel them? Like, I go for Protect with my Yveltal. Another thing you can do with this team, by the way, with Transform Mew, you could transform into your own Yveltal and get double Dark Aura to give, like, your Yveltal a super duper dark boost. That's really nice. You could also transform into your boosted Centiskorch, transform into, you know, the opponent with, you know, Imprison Transform. There's a lot of options with this Mew. There's basically always something for it to do while it's on the field, even though it's pretty passive without Psychic Stab. It doesn't really need it. What am I doing? I'm just like, I didn't edit this out because I'm lazy. Sorry about that. I go for Struggle, or my opponent goes for Struggle, and they're gonna almost take themselves out. Oh yeah, this is what I do. I go for Transform because I was so curious. I'm like, your Scarf, Thunder Wave, Victini. I have to know your set. Okay, so now I don't feel like I'm that much of a scumbag, but yes, their Scarf Final Gambit Thunder Wave skill swap. What? Girl, what is this set? Japanese players are honestly like OP. Like, I don't know, like, I respect them though. I feel like I should be with them. Like, I should be categorized with these players because like their techs are honestly like impressive sometimes. Like I've been hit with some Japanese techs that make me like reconsider the meaning of life. So that was my opponent's team. Hopefully you all enjoyed that bit of a scuffed ending. I thought it was kind of funny. I am too lazy to re-narrate it, and I'm kind of losing my voice, so we're just gonna roll with it and continue on to the last battle. All right, my last opponent, Ashley. Their team is honestly kind of cute. I mean, I don't like the ground on sun part, but I do respect Zarude. Zarude's like one of the coolest mythicals ever. It's kind of like lame and boring, but it's also like cool. But yeah, let's just get into this final battle because I saved the best battle for last, like I normally do for these commentated videos. So we're put up against Ashley, and me and Ashley have some beef. Ashley hacked my Twitter account many months ago, so I got to beat her ass. Like, I gotta get revenge for when she hacked my Twitter account. Thankfully, she doesn't lead off with the Charizard. She decides to lead off with Zarude and Groudon, so thankfully she spares me. I lead off with Gastrodon and Mew, because I could go for Surf to give myself Storm Drain, which is another synergy I have with Surf on this team, of course, but unfortunately, there's a Grass type staring me down, and I'm like, well, let me get out of here. Except I think I do decide to go for Protect just to scout out what my opponent wants to do. I Protect with my Gastrodon, and then my opponent is going to go for a Solar Blade. I'm like, oh, Solar Blade is pretty scary. That would definitely one-shot Gastrodon. I didn't know what to expect from these Zarude outside of Jungle Healing. I'm gonna, hit my opponent with an Imprison because I just want to set that up while I can. My opponent's gonna go for Precipice Blades. We're gonna Protect with their Gastrodon, and Mew's gonna dodge it. So let's go Mew for dodging an attack. we're gonna go for the transform right here. I'm deciding, I'm like, should I do Groudon or Zarude? And I'm like, okay, I should probably do the Zarude because I can get jungle healing and heal up my allies. And as you can see, I do have Melmetal on my team as well. I forgot to cut out this turn, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna switch out and bring in my Calyrex because I do figure with my full HP and like defensive EV investment, I can live any hits the Pokemon wants to throw out at me. So I'm gonna bring in my Calyrex-Ice Rider, and my opponent is going to hit me with a Solar Blade, I do believe. We're gonna activate Unnerve and God, I hate Calyrex, but I'm using it on this team because it's like the bulkiest legendary that learns Encore, so I wanted to use it for that reason. But anyway, my opponent's gonna go for Solar Blade. They're gonna hit my Calyrex and do a decent chunk of damage because, you know, it is like 125 stab, 125 base power stab. I'm gonna transform into Zarude instead of transforming into Groudon because I figure Groudon is just gonna Dynamax, and you know, if I transform into it, but Zarude's more likely just not to Dynamax, so that was my thought process. Now, I'm gonna go for the jungle healing right here, I think. Or actually, no, I go for Solar Blade because I'm like, wait, I should just attack this Groudon. So I just go for Solar Blade. My opponent decides to stay in with Zarude because they could have switched out. I assume it was a mistake because when you're imprisoned and you like accidentally tap to fight, if you're imprisoned and like they transform into you and then you hit the button to attack, it will just make your turn go through and then force you to struggle. So that's probably what happened for my opponent, and that's what I'm thinking, or like they forgot. Either way, Precipice Blades, I mean, they are a Sun team user, so they probably weren't thinking really when they were using this team anyway, but anyway, I'm gonna eat my Eye of Poppy Berry with my Calyrex after snacking a Precipice Blades, and now we're gonna go for a Trick Room with our Calyrex-Ice Rider. Now, I could go for Glacial Lance if I was like a normal Calyrex-Ice Rider and like had offensive EVs, but right now, I feel like I should click other attacks. So my opponent's gonna switch into the Zacian because now they're like, wait, I'm gonna die. So let me get out of here. Zarude Daddy, I really like Zarude Dada. It's a funny form. I'm gonna switch out on Mew as well because I figure I should save it for later. I don't really see it being too valuable. I'm gonna bring in Melmetal. I thought they would protect Groudon, but they actually, you know, don't protect Groudon. I just go for Glacial Lance though. I do carry Glacial Lance even though I'm a support of Calyrex because, you know, I just wanted to. I figure I should run Stab on my broken legendary, right? Even with no attack EVs, my attack stat is so high that I don't need attack EVs to, you know, do damage. Anyway, I'm gonna get a Chilling Neigh boost, which is, you know, fair and balanced. I have G-Max Melmetal. I haven't brought it at all in this video, so I'm like, all right, no matter what happens, I am Dynamax on my Melmetal and not my Calyrex. Because I don't give a shit about Calyrex. I want to use G-Max Melmetal. So what we're going to do is we are going to Dynamax our G-Max Melmetal. And as you can see, we are just a beastly iron golem god thing, and we have 420 HP. Both Gastrodon and Melmetal are EV to have 420 HP when they're Dynamax because Weed is my whole personality. I do have Weed in my username, so it shouldn't be a surprise. I don't have 420 as my trainer card number though, surprisingly. Anyway, my opponent's gonna double protect because they're trying to stall the Trick Room, which is totally understandable. But with G-Max Melmetal, we have G-Max Meltdown, and what this move does is it actually applies the Torment effect to both opponents on the field, and Torment makes it so you can't use the same moves twice in a row, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna go for Glacial Lance because I was just trying to kill this Calyrex because it's scary and I want it to die, and yeah, so I go for Glacial Lance. They double protect though, which is fine, whatever. But now what I can do is I can go for G-Max Meltdown again and just knock out the Calyrex, except I think it's Focus Sash. Yeah, of course it's Focus Sash. They pretty much all run Focus Sash unless they're like a choice spec set. But I'm gonna go for Encore. Why? Into the Zacian, because with the Torment effect, if you Encore someone and they're tormented, they will struggle every other turn, which is really, really cool. And unfortunately Astral Barrage will knock me out, which is, you know, a shame, but we were able to get the Encore off before Calyrex died, and their Calyrex needed a Grim Neigh boost. My Calyrex is a supportive set, so I don't really think you guys should complain in the comments, but you can complain anyway to give me, you know, more comments for the algorithm, though I'm pretty sure this video will flop because it's a narrated video. Hopefully if y'all enjoy the Wi-Fi content and, you know, want to see more, I don't really care too much about views that much, though. If it gets as bad views as my Magikarp jump video did, I don't know, I might just be a showdown YouTuber for the rest of my life, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna do more of these narrative videos in the future. But anyway, the Zacian is forced to struggle. We got the tech to work with the Encore Torment, but unfortunately it's no longer tormented. Excuse me? It's no longer tormented? How is that? Wait, so apparently G-Max Meltdown can wear off? Unless it was the Encore that wore off. Okay, I think it was the Encore that wore off. But anyway, my opponent's gonna max their Zarude right here, and I did transform into their Zacian. So I'm hoping that my Mew transformed into Zacian can win the speed tie and just obliterate their Zacian. I'm at +2 attack, but you know, unfortunately, they're going to win. Actually, they protect. Okay, I spoiled the outcome of the battle. It's fine. They protect, and I go for protect as well. They win the speed tie and protecting. See, I didn't spoil anything. But they're gonna go for Max Darkness into my Melmetal, and it's going to do a decent chunk, but not do too much. We live with 68 HP instead of 69, and I'm just gonna go for double Iron Bash right here into the Zarude. I could have EV'd into HP to take attacks better, but I was just so, like, it was so funny because uninvested left me at 210 HP, and I'm like, oh, it's 420. But here, oh, the Encore ends. Okay, I wasn't tripping. So Torment can end if you use it with the G-Max Pokemon, but regular Torment never ends. So that's very strange. Anyway, Behemoth Blade, they're going to win the speed tie and beat me, and that really sucks because I was going to win with Zacian, but unfortunately I use Zacian, so I deserve to lose the speed tie. So yeah, me using a broken Pokemon like Zacian, what's wrong with me? Anyway, Max Darkness is going to knock out my Melmetal right here, and then my last Pokemon is Gastrodon, and I'm against a giant ass grass type and a Doggo that is blessed by luck, because apparently Torment can wear off in this one instance, and they got bailed out by plot armor, and I protect just to be that bitch, just to be Pelipper, install it one last turn, because I know my fate is inevitable. Ashley will hack my Twitter account. She will slay me. I thought I could beat Ashley. No. Ashley had me. She handled me. It's true, it's true. But you know what? I don't really care about winning. What I care about is I got to showcase G-Max Melmetal's max move doing something. It didn't have to be like a viable or good showcasing. Like I didn't have to win. I just had to showcase it doing something. And that was like, that's all that mattered to me. So I kind of like spoiled the fact, or I kind of like lied saying the best battles for last. It depends on how you view it. If you view Melmetal like actually doing something with its G-Max move, as like a really big triumphant moment, then this is the best battle ever. Max Steel Spike is so much better than Max Meltdown, but you know, I think it has a pretty cute case on this team with all the protects, all the trappingness. But here is the rental code for any of y'all who are brave enough to try out this team. G-Max Melmetal is kind of a flop, unfortunately. Maybe I just like, I'm not good enough at using it. I think it has potential. Like if you just give it a few coaching boosts, it can definitely, you know, do work in Dynamax, but relying on that Torment gimmick obviously, you know, fell flat and Ashley slayed me. But beyond that, this team has a lot of fun tricks. He can transform into Yveltal like I mentioned and have double Dark Aura. He can surf into Gastrodon, give it Storm Drain, then transform into Gastrodon. You can Encore disable between Yveltal and calyrex-ice while they're both on the field under Trick Room. They're both very, very bulky and can lift pretty much any singular hit that isn't from G-Max Charizard. And yeah, it's a pretty fun team. Definitely takes some getting used to use, but if you want to give it a shot, here's the rental code. If you have any other questions or concerns about the team, leave that all in the comments because I read all of my comments. But thank you all so much for watching until the end of the video. I love you all very, very much. If you watched to this point of the video, make sure to leave a comment saying that this team was very amusing, but spell it like A-M-E-W. Because Mew, get it? I'm so funny. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and next video, or next narrated Sword and Shield Series 13 video, I'll probably be using Celebi, and I don't know how I'm going to make Celebi look hype, but you know what? I'll figure it out. See you guys then.